Yes guys, welcome back to another video. This is sketchy. Anyway, so I didn't do an intro video on the day I was obviously getting the parts done on my car because I was actually really ill. I still am a little bit ill, but I thought I'd do it now when I'm feeling a little bit better. I want to say a massive shout out to GSF, AutoDoc and Tweeks. They're the three places I got all my parts for my car. So I'm gonna crack on with trying to get through this snow sludge best I can, and then I will wrap up with you at the end of this video the costs and my honest review and how much I like what's been put on my car and whether I thought it was worth the money as well. So yeah, sit back and enjoy, and I'll check in at the end of the video.
Right, so I'm going to do a talk through just purely because there was a lot of noise in the garage at the time, so it'll be a lot easier for me just to talk as I go through. So obviously got all my parts mainly from GSF and a few bits from AutoDoc. We managed to get the wheels off. They were a bit difficult. Obviously this is the first time I've taken them off in my ownership. Previous person hadn't greased the wheels, so it was a bit of a struggle to get them off. We obviously changed the oil filter, so took that out, and then we got to taking off the back wheels. This was the bit that we ended up hitting a struggle on. We were laughing because my dad was saying about how a lot of people just do bodge jobs. He was saying if people don't previously grease them, he said, and then you get a car in, you can't get anything off, you can't get any of the bolts off, calipers off, everything's all seized on. So yeah, we were having a laugh and joke, having a good catch up. I hadn't seen him for a while anyway, so he's always full of jokes. So we were just cracking on talking about cars and his van, etc, etc. But yeah, there was a problem with the rear brake caliper. The main bolt through the back of it wasn't coming off, which is obviously a bit of a pain, but we managed to get there in the end. You'll see in the next clip what they were like to kind of get off. But all in all, obviously the parts and everything else that came, very happy with the delivery, also with how well both companies dealt with my requests. I managed to get it on Black Friday. I'll go through the cost of everything in the end. But yeah, here we are still struggling with the with this rear brake caliper. To be fair, when we went through this, we didn't want to thread the bolt that goes into the back of the caliper and break it. That was what my dad was worried about at the time. Also, there was a loose cable which we thought was an ABS sensor. Luckily I bought a spare one, but yeah, dad was trying to be proper careful taking off this rear brake caliper so it didn't damage anything, but obviously that took quite a lot of time. And we thought to ourselves, oh, if this is going to be the case for all four, we might be stuck here a while, but luckily for us it was just the one. The rest of them came off pretty smoothly. Now what we're doing is dropping the arm, the suspension arm, to get that rear spring out, and then we were just transferring the little silicone covers, top and bottom. That kind of slid relatively easy straight in. Yeah. Once you drop the arm, so it wasn't too much of a struggle at all. It does look really nice, and I'll get to how it drives afterwards. Just obviously because my plan is to keep the car, and I always go to my dad because I'm not saying I'm being biased and my dad does a proper job and no one else does, but he greases everything, uses yellow paint to make sure if anything's moved come the next service. Here he is laughing and joking, but yeah, so we've got the caliper off. Nice shiny new Brembo grooved and vented caliper back on, disc back on. Just putting the caliper back on now, and we'll be putting in the brake pads as well. What he's doing here is just cleaning up the brake pins as well, to make sure that they're all nice and clean before they go back in. The other thing as well was how surprisingly light these discs were. Obviously, yes, they're expensive, obviously I'll get to that, but I was looking on there was a few options, but I went with the lighter option, which I feel was worth the extra bit of money. As I said before, these kind of slide in pretty easy, or I guess he made it look easy anyway. And then once that's all in, you can adjust it. You can also, if you're like me and you've got adjustable electronic dampers, you can adjust the toe. But here we're going to get onto the exhaust. So I had a really horrible rattly noise in my car, and I thought it was where the exhaust was touching the rear diffuser, but the previous the exhaust tray guard, like little honeycomb looking grey thing underneath, it'd been bodged, like kind of back underneath the car where the person had changed, the previous owner had changed the exhaust. So what we managed to do is just take it off. It sounds so much better. We readjusted the exhaust better, so I'm very happy with that. It doesn't have a tinny sound when I shut the boot or when it starts up. We've obviously done the new oil filter. Dad likes to put obviously a little reminder of when that was done on top of the cap, and then we drained the oil out earlier, so all new oil in the system, and then also a performance air filter, which we're just going to slide in. That's pretty straightforward, not really a difficult job. The performance filter came from Tweeks, actually, with the Eibach Pro lowering springs. They also came from Tweeks. And then this was the most difficult part, sorry. So this is trying to get off the front dampers, which is obviously a bit of a different situation to the rear. So you have to adjust it from underneath the bonnet and pull it out. It wasn't as easy as this video looks. You don't really want to bend or force pressure on anything, so my dad pretty much loosened up / took off everything just to make it as easy as possible to get out. Then we used this compression spring and damper station. Never really seen one before, to be fair, but just put pressure on the springs. You can push it down on the floor, but obviously my dad said he just doesn't like taking any unnecessary, he just likes to make things as simple as possible, in other words, for himself. So he used this, undone the screw from the top, came off relatively easily, took the top mount off, put the new spring back in, and hang on, I think he went to go and grab something. Here you go. Yeah, it just needed a specific type of Allen key that went in the top of it just to undo it. But obviously the more compression you can get on the spring, the easier this is to undo. So yeah, as I said, now all he's doing is just cleaning up the where the damper slides into. So just to make sure that goes in quite smoothly, greases it all up as well afterwards. So as I was saying before, if you're doing jobs like this, if you're planning on obviously keeping the car for a long period of time, grease things, do things properly, because it just makes it so much easier when you come back to it later on. So front discs are on, same setup as well, and then big springs, then big Eibach springs are on as well. Damper went in. He's just going to clean up the inside of the wheel hub so that slides back on nicely, and there's no issues getting the wheels on or off at a later date. I won't need to, obviously, for a long period of time, as I've done a big service, new tyres, it's cleaned brake calipers, and we are done. So I'll wrap up with the video now and go through the costs.
Yes guys, so that's the video wrapped up in regards to everything that was done on the car. Massive shout out to my dad, who we got in at about 8 o'clock in the morning and he had it all done by 10 to 1, so he smashed through it. So perks of having a dad who is very good with cars. I'm always grateful for his help. He also always does a good job. He doesn't half do it just because it's me. He makes sure he does it all properly. So so the breakdown of the price of everything. So for the Brembo grooved and vented discs front and rear, Brembo pads front and rear, what else was there? Proair Air Filter, Eibach Pro lowering springs, oil filter, cost £1,600. That was with 65% off on GSF. That was with another 40% off on AutoDoc, and I think it was, I can't remember what the discount was on Tweeks at the time. But all in all, obviously I wanted to put the best stuff on my car just because obviously the power that it's pushing. I also wanted to give a little
review feedback as well on the tyres, the Michelin Pilot Sport 5s, because I got a comment on my last video asking when I was going to let people know. I've been very lucky where we've had wet weather, we've had dry weather, and now we've got snow. So I've had all three weather conditions to try these tyres out in, and I've never been happy with a set of tyres in my life. They're so good. I've had Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's on this. I've had Pirelli P0s on my last car, and Adven Sport something. I can't remember what they were originally on my previous car. These are head and shoulders above everything I've ever had. You don't necessarily even need to worry too much about getting heat into them as well. Like especially today, it's icy cold. We've got probably a good 10 centimeters worth of snow, and the car's handling it really, really well. In regards to feedback on the springs, the ride is so much better. Obviously it's sitting a bit lower, I've got to be a bit cautious of the front splitter, especially going up my driveway, but instantly feeling so much better. I've bed the brakes in already, done a few 100 to 40 stops to bed them in, so the brakes are incredible. So all in all, I'm super happy with everything that's on the car at the moment. Plans for the future, what else I've got to do with the car. I would like to do the roof on top in either a carbon wrap to match the wing mirrors and the front splitter and the rear diffuser. I probably will change the rear diffuser because it's got a bit of cracks in it. I was going to go for the F1 style one with the thing. It's like £300, whereas I could just get a normal carbon rear diffuser for probably half the money, or closer, so a bit cheaper. But I'll see. I'm not in a rush for that at the moment. But all in all, I'm super happy with everything that's on in the car. It's made it so much better to drive. There's no body roll either. I'm guessing that's purely from the lower end springs. It just turns in so much better. I have so much more confidence in the car now as well. So that is everything. Anything else you want to see? I'd like to do some track days when the weather gets better, so that will probably be next summer. I have some plans where I might do a road trip. I'd like to do Nürburgring next year as well, so I'm probably going to look at doing that at some point. I would like to go to Spa to watch Formula 1, but do a drive there. So yeah, I've got a lot planned with the car coming up next year. Obviously now it's snowing, I'm probably not going to be as active with car vlogs unless I get some parts done in the new year. Wait for some New Year sales. But if I can give you one bit of advice, wait for sales for car parts. There's always sales floating around. I wait for Black Friday. There'll definitely be New Year sales on, like Boxing Day, New Year's, etc. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. But yeah, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.